Hey guys, Pastor Ben here. I got to wrap up the Red Letters series this week. And in that message, I talked about God's grace and what that means for our weaknesses. In 2 Corinthians 12, Paul talks about making the choice to boast in his weaknesses because of what Jesus said. And Jesus said, "My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness." Boasting about our weakness is not a natural thing for us to do. We're willing to boast about anything else, right? Our gifts, our strengths, our successes, our families. I love boasting about my kids, but never in our weaknesses. But Paul says, I boast in my weaknesses. You see early in the chapter, Paul talks about a thorn that he was given from God in his flesh. We're not exactly sure what this thorn was or what it exactly meant for him, but all we know is that it was uncomfortable. But Paul asked God to remove it, to relieve him of this discomfort. The interesting thing about this, though, is that the Greek word for thorn translates to the word stake in our English. So like a tent stake. I don't know if anyone's ever put up a tent. There's some big stakes that go into the ground to make it happen. So this isn't some little sliver that's annoying us. This is something pretty significant. But Paul knew that because all the ways that God had blessed him, all the things that God had shown him, all the revelation Paul had been given from God, God gives him this stake to keep him humble, telling him that my grace is sufficient in that weakness. You see, all of us deal with thorns. Thorns that make us feel weak, thorns that make us feel frustrated. Maybe it's disease, maybe it's financial struggles, maybe it's friction in relationships in our life. Whatever it is that leaves us feeling broken and worn out before our God. But in all this, Paul still tells us to celebrate. Yes, he tells us to boast about our weaknesses because there's purpose in our weakness. Our thorns are the evidence of the presence of God in our life. God has given each of us giftings to use for him, but he's also given us each things that keep us humble. Humble so that we know that every good thing that we have comes from him, and it has nothing to do with us. The best news for us is that in our weakness, God uses that as a platform to reveal his grace. It is in our weakness that God's abundant grace is on display to our world as we know it. When I am weak, I am the most strong. When I am broken, he is the one who fixes me. So today, I challenge you to embrace this truth. Don't complain, but instead realize that you're anointed by God, and he's going to use your life to show his greatness to the world. So I pray that your time together is blessed as you continue to talk about this topic in your groups. We love you. We'll see you soon.